Hello everyone, we are here with new microphone, new cords to keep it connected to the computer so it doesn't short out like it's been doing for the last few freaking weeks.
Oh man.
Finally. I'm just hoping that everything stays working the way that it's supposed to now.
Right, ready for some reviews?
Yes, I am ready for some reviews. What do people have to say this time? I think we got some new people in.
Yeah, Sad Fox 729.
Why are you sad, bro?
I'm gonna be the ass and say it. You got rid of the purple one? You now hold infinite glory in my heart! Well, but still, I would have personally made him learn or suffer a slow, painful death or soul stone one. I think your way is better. Sad Fox 729, the salty one.
Yeah, man. Don't you know that's the best way to deal with your problems? Is just pretend they don't exist at all.
See, I would have thought that you, I feel like I would have thought that you would have gotten rid of him, with the first, with the test. I don't know, my brain's not working. I'm sorry, with the exam.
With the entrance exam?
Have something funny with how pathetic and stupid it is that he even is there at the exam.
It's like...
I don't know.
I saw this mini comic one time. It was a fan who made it, and it was like Shinzo, the brainwashing guy. He's applying for the academy, and he's like I can talk to people and then I can make them do what I want. And they're like, that's stupid power. Go to general education. He's like, okay. Mineta comes up. My hair is sticky. That's amazing. Go to the your course immediately.
Yeah, I'm
just like
ridiculous. All right. Well, glad you are.
Glad,
board.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, man.
All right, we have another newbie. Xeno Lucifer. Never mind. Straight into the story, and your OC is already talking about how he died in past tense. This is basically the whole Boruto intro scene all over again.
Fun fact, I just started watching Boruto this week.
Yeah, let's see, you started writing the story how long ago?
I started coming up with Started coming up and planning with it more than a year ago, but yeah, I've been writing this for about a year now.
We literally just started watching Boruto this week, so
yeah,
wasn't stolen, just similar idea.
I mean, I didn't see honestly, it was more than anything, it was based off of the Red vs. Blue season 13 trailer where Epsilon is leaving behind his final memoirs. So that's kind of where I pulled that from. Having seen the opening scene from Boruto, I honestly don't really see it because Boruto's not saying that he's died.
He's not going.
They're kind of alluding to that Naruto might have died, but I don't think that's the case personally.
I don't think either of those is the case.
But I mean,
okay.
I mean, if you want
parallels, dude, I was talking parallels between the Cursed Child and Boruto the other day, just because we just started the series, and there's some parallels. I don't know, just saying. Anyway, and
if you want to elaborate,
which one came out first? Boruto. So.
Which, if you ever want to elaborate on that, please feel free to put up another review.
Chat about it because we're getting into that show. So, all right, Silver 4700.
One of our regulars. Let's go.
Hikari. So Mina and I are gonna go do our own thing. Akarui pushes up anime glasses. Ha! I am 4 parallel universes ahead of you. I love it.
I mean, I feel like Mina's the one who's been like, so I'm gonna take your brother, and Nakuru's like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. All right. Also, is it just me, or should Akarui have some kind of glasses style equipment that, I don't know, reflects / absorbs more sunlight, thus making him smarter than he would be? Then he can also have the moment when he pushes up his anime glasses so you can't see his eyes due to light reflection.
I might have to implement that at some point,
That's
actually.
Amazing.
That's pretty good.
I love
I would actually have an excuse for the anime glare coming off the glasses that way. That's a good idea.
I love it.
I might have to do that.
All right.
I'm not wearing my glasses today, so I can't do it.
Be. Oh, well, that's
the
okay.
one time I don't wear my glasses.
But anyways, this was another interesting chapter. Are we going to acknowledge that Akarui is just a nicer version of Dwight from The Office?
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Maybe that's just me. Heck.
Yes, it's just you.
He's a lot smarter than Dwight. The email thing was a major plot.
He's actually as smart as Dwight thinks he is, and then some.
For one of the episodes titles, Doomsday. Is that something from The Office?
I don't know.
We're about to.
You've seen more of The Office than I have.
I have. We're about to make a lot of people angry.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're not.
I'm not in The Office. I'm not in The Office, man.
See, I had to watch 3 seasons before it made me chuckle. And then I was like, why am I doing this? Okay, here's our stance, all right?
Yeah.
The Office is a very cringy show with some very funny moments. All right? I do not deny that there's some very funny moments.
But they can all be found on YouTube.
Yes. Parks and Rec is a really funny show with some cringy moments.
Some really cringy moments.
Now I have to say though, he started watching a really stupid show recently called
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think that one's the stupidest thing I've seen in my life.
No. The Office is way dumber than Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I would rather watch The Office all day long than watch one episode.
I was telling her it's like that meme where it's like, you know, when you're watching anime by yourself, you know, it's like all these crazy explosions and awesome fight scenes happening and stuff, right? But then as soon as your dad walks in, there's the girls in the bathing suits or they're just butt naked. And I told her that's what happens whenever I'm watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Whenever the good moments are happening, she's off teaching or doing something else. And whenever someone's acting extra stupid, that's when she walks in.
It's just a stupid show. The main character, I just want to punch him in the face and then just do a little twist. And then punch him again. And then kick him a few times. And then I legit, even though I do not even like The Office, I would rather watch The Office than Brooklyn Nine-Nine any day. We're probably going to tick off a lot of people.
How dare you?
Honestly, Parks and Rec is the best.
Captain Holt and Terry Crews are like the best.
Yeah, they're the only decent characters in the whole show.
They're not the only decent. They're not the only decent characters. And even if they were the only decent characters, I would watch it for them because they're hilarious.
That's the thing. I honestly do not like anybody in The Office except for Stanley. Stanley's the only person in The Office that I like. I'm not going to watch the show for Stanley. I don't care. He's great. He's the best character because he hates everyone else, and I feel the same way. I'm not going to watch the show for him.
I feel like we've kind of rabbit-holed at this point.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, long story short, sorry we're not Office people. We've been arguing about this all day. Maybe I've been reading too much into it. I just love The Office. I'm sorry. I'm glad you like The Office. Most of our friends love The Office.
Yeah, we're kind of the outliers on that.
Yeah, we're just weirdos. Considering that I felt a majority of this chapter followed the main story beats of the movie, which I kind of expected, to be honest, I don't have that much to say other than the fact that I hope Akarui contributes some kind of major change. You were kind of alluding to this, but we'll see what happens. Also, I just noticed something for the first time while reading the chapter. Specifically, like, you were describing Hikari's attempt at the robot thing. I recognize that you're basing him a bunch off of DBZ, but when you were describing him channeling his power in that moment, it seems like he bore striking similarities to Mataris from your book, Dragon Roar.
I mean, I'd say that Kurai is probably the most different character that I've made from Mataris, but given that it's still me writing him, especially when it comes to action scenes, I imagine that some of those traits would bleed through.
Understandable, since inspiration for characters honestly come from other experiences, and honestly, I should have expected that more. But I'm just pointing that out now because it was for the first time that I myself realized that fact. What was I saying? I don't know.
If you don't know, man, I don't know.
All I'm thinking is that Akarui is going to have some kind of breakdown when he realizes his hero is some kind of villain or working with them. Then the next thing you know, he's going to ask Hikari and or Mina if they heard anything weird the previous night, to which they say no, even though they both heard him crying his eyes out. Huh.
I get the reference.
Anyways, oh yeah, I know what you're referencing to. Anyways, it's time for me to make like Kirito being called an a-hole and run the crap away, bawling my eyes out. So bye, Silver.
Dude, you gotta cool it with the waterworks here because they haven't even started. They haven't even started, man.
There's nothing to cry about yet. Light Hero Kaiser. Great chapter mate. Can't wait for you. Akarui must have like a color powerful flashlight or something. Hey. Well, Mina should have an easier time with the robots because of her quirk, but who knows? You have a habit of being unpredictable. Blade Hero Light signing out.
Well, I appreciate your review, Asian Lettuce.
Man, you already have a bunch of people predicting some kind of quirk stimulator.
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, they'll get their answer to that here in a few minutes.
Joe Clone. Oh, baby, this was a fun one. Akarui has all the little brother vibes. I laughed so much with his loose genius. I'm calling it.
Loose genius. I kind of like that.
He just, like, apprentices under Best Genius as, like, a tech support. Anyway, sorry. My brain is gone. The obstacle course scene went as expected, but the interaction between Bakugo and Kurai made it even better. And now the sirens are blaring. It's action time, kids. Can't wait for the next chapter.
Well, you won't have to for much longer. We got, one more review, and it's from your favorite.
Yes, silly Kita! Well, no matter how evolved one's mind is, I suppose little brothers will be little brothers. Loving the back sass happening between the two of them. But I feel kind of bad for Mina, more or less, getting caught up in the middle of it. I also liked how Kurai tried to run interference for Midoriya when he saw them with Melissa, but almost ended up making things worse for him, just like a good bro in such a situation should. Speaking of Melissa, if Akarui... Is Akarui crushing on her? That's what I thought. Seems kind of like a significant age gap, but then again, I'm sure everyone's had a crush on someone fairly older than them at some point or another, so it's not too weird, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think you're not wrong.
Sorry, I digress. Seems like it's going to be a rough few chapters of Iida and Kurai trying to work together. Let's hope that they don't do something stupid that ends with making a bad situation worse, because that seems like something you would do. Then again, I do not ice that bit where their first instincts seemed...
I did notice.
Oh, I did notice.
Oh, okay,
sorry.
I think you put a space in.
I did know. Sorry. I did notice that I was waiting for a pun to happen, and so I was like, Todoroki's in a sentence with... Okay, sorry. Calm down. I'm not that funny. I'm glad you think I'm funny, but I'm really not that funny. Calm down. Honey. Okay. All right. Then again, I did notice that bit where their first instinct seems to be to have each other's backs. So here's hoping for a better outcome. I had guessed that you would have had Akarui tag along for the ride, but I also kind of expected him to do the long distance support, like keeping in touch with them via the phone. But after I watched the movie, I remembered that their phones don't work until the island's security goes back to normal. So there goes that idea. Question now is, what does Akarui have in his pocket? What does it have in its nasty little pockets? Down, Gollum, not its business. Not its business.
No.
Okay, here we go.
Got it.
What does Akarui have in its pockets? Down, not its business!
There we go. I used to be able to do the Smeagol voice. I can't anymore. That's pretty solid. I've heard better, but that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
All right, I'm leaving.
Don't leave. Sorry, had to do it. In any case, I look forward to the next chapter where it seems that things will really be going for the new movie crew. I kind of hope we get to see Kurai and Todoroki team up again, because they haven't done that since the USJ, and it's kind of cool to see how they've improved. Oh, bro. Well...
Man, I got all kinds of fan service coming for you guys.
Enjoy the chapter.
Yeah, man. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes to discuss the behind the scenes. Fighting Onward. We've been in some bad spots before, but I think this takes the cake. Kurai muttered as he and the others stood in a rough circle on the emergency staircase. The group had nearly made it to the dining area when they heard a gunshot, which led to them making a hasty retreat up to the next floor. After Melissa supplied them with directions, Jiro and Midoriya went to run reconnaissance from above the main hall. They had returned with the disturbing news that all the heroes present, including All Might, were restrained by the island's security system, which had been hijacked by a group of villains that were now using the same technology to hold virtually everyone on the island as their unwitting hostages. Thanks to Jiro's quirk, the two had been able to have a brief conversation with All Might, who had told them to clear out and keep their heads down until the situation was resolved. So what's our play? Akarui asked, looking between his brother and Iida. He appeared nervous, and for good reason. After all, he was a middle school kid that had no interest in being a pro hero himself, so it was only natural that he be frightened of the circumstances they were in. My first instinct would be go and find some pros from outside the party, but there's too many chances that we'd get caught. Kurai muttered as he put his chin in his hand. Our phones aren't working either, so we can't call for help. We could beat up the bad guys, Mina offered, causing Iida, Kaminari, and Akarui to look at her like she'd lost her mind. What? We survived the USJ, we've all interned with pro heroes, it's not like we don't know what we're doing. Are you crazy? Kaminari yelped. Those guys have All Might, the #1 hero pinned down. You think we can take him? We'd be in violation of the law, Iida added crossly. We're not licensed heroes. Actually, that's not entirely true, Kurai countered, drawing everyone's attention to him. Shifting his gaze to Melissa, Kurai said, correct me if I'm wrong, but Island doesn't regulate quirk usage, right? That's true, she nodded. So if, I know, big if, we could take the villains down, could we just treat the situation as a citizen's arrest? He inquired. Yes, as far as I'm aware, she nodded again. We've never had a crime committed on this scale here, so I don't know if there's much of a precedent to go by, but what you're saying makes sense. How'd you figure that? Jiro asked Kurai, who simply shrugged. I kind of have some knowledge about law enforcement and potential loopholes, he answered. I can't believe that you, of all people here, want to find a way around the rules, Iida said, his tone angry as Kurai turned back to face him. Especially when you called me a hypocrite for doing the exact same thing. Really? Kurai said flatly. Now? You want to do this now? All around them, the other students shifted uncomfortably, knowing things were probably about to get pretty intense between the two of them. Yes, now! Iida barked, startling the others. If you go ahead to fight those villains, it will be just like when I went to fight with Stain. This is nothing like when you went to fight Stain, and don't you dare try to bring me down to your level again. Kurai growled, his eyes sparking blue for a second, alerting everyone to just how close he was to losing control. You were hell-bent on revenge. You were being selfish and wanted to assuage your guilt. I want to save the people in the building from ending up as bargaining chips for whatever it is that these villains want. And as we just covered, there's nothing illegal about a citizen's arrest. Citizen's arrest can be applied in cases of self-defense, Iida shot back. You can't just go around and pick a fight with a professional criminal and say that it's above the scrutiny of the law. He's right, Todoroki interjected, his cool voice cutting through the heated atmosphere. We can't just go fight them. That being said, I'm with Hikari. We can't just sit around and do nothing right now. Then what should we do? Mina asked with a frown. It doesn't seem like we have a lot of options open to us. We can still help, Midoriya asserted, surprising his friends. We can save All Might and the others without fighting anyone. How? Yaoyorozu asked him. If we move quickly, we might be able to restore the island's security system without running into any villains. The green-haired boy explained. We just need to find the control room in the tower and reset all the security parameters. That'll free All Might and the other pros, and then they can do all the fighting for us. The others looked around at each other, each of them considering the plan. I'm in, Uraraka declared. Me too, Mina grinned. Really? Izuku asked, looking surprised at the fact that his idea wasn't being dismissed out of hand. It's a good idea, Todoroki nodded. If we're aiming to be pros someday, we need to start acting like it sooner rather than later. I'm with you, Kurai told his friend. In that case, count me in, Kaminari said as he got to his feet with a bright smile. Let's do it. Jiro grinned as she gave Midoriya a thumbs up. Iida hesitated for a moment, then stepped up to his friend and said, The moment I think we're going too far, I'm putting a stop to this. Who died and made you the morality police? Kurai challenged him, but Midoriya held up his hands to keep them both from arguing. We all need to work together for us to have the best chance of stopping these villains, he told them warily. Fighting each other isn't going to help us, and it's not going to help the people that are counting on us. Iida, I know you're worried about repeating Hosu, but things are different here. We'll be fine. Turning to address his other friend, he added, And Hikari, people make mistakes, but they can't move on and learn from it if the people they look up to keep putting them down for it. Iida and Kurai exchanged angry looks for a moment, neither one willing to give ground, before the shorter of the two finally said in a somewhat subdued voice, Tensei would be giving us an earful about now if he could see us, wouldn't he? Kurai was still upset with his old friend, but he was pragmatic enough to know that if they were going to go through with Midoriya's plan, someone needed to concede, even a little, so it might as well be him. Yes, he would, Iida admitted begrudgingly. Holding out a hand to the other boy, he said, It's going to be a while before we can really forgive one another, but in the interest of being heroes, I'm willing to work with you on this. And in the interest of hoping that you can prove me wrong about you not being one, I'll do the same. Kurai replied as he shook hands with the class rep. Turning to Midoriya, he added, Let's roll. If Iida's on board, then I'll go as well, Yaoyorozu said, making her the last student to agree to the plan. Have you guys lost your minds? Akarui demanded. You do realize I have to go with you, right? Kurai made an apologetic gesture to the others before he grabbed his brother roughly by the arm and dragged him down the flight of stairs so they could talk in private, provided they kept their voices down. You're staying here, Kurai told his brother firmly. You're not combat trained, so if there does end up being a fight, I can't risk you getting caught up in it. Mom and Dad would kill me. as opposed to ditching me in a closet while there's some trigger-happy villains running around? The younger boy demanded. I'm going with you guys, even if I think you're insane. You'd only get in the way, Kurai said flatly. You can't even use the excuse that you've got solar intelligence. There's no sunlight for you to absorb, so you're as dumb as we are right now. The younger boy snorted as he reached into his pocket. That's what you think. He pulled out a necklace with a small light on it that made Kurai's eyes widen in surprise. Where did you... Made it myself before we came to the island. He smirked as he clicked a button on the back of the light, causing it to light up with a bright white glow that hurt the eyes of anyone looking directly at it. He quickly put the necklace on and tucked the item under his shirt, reducing the glow substantially. It simulated sunlight, the same kind used to treat patients with skin conditions like psoriasis, he explained. Of course, my contraption is a lot stronger than the stuff that hospitals use. Give me 30 minutes and my smarts will start coming back. Instead of looking pleased by this turn of events, however, Kurai scowled and hissed, You're already on a pretty unforgiving timetable. You really want to accelerate it? This will only take another week off or so in the long run. Akarui replied in the same lowered tone. I did the calculations myself, so I know what I'm doing. Besides, if we don't do something to stop these villains, my timetable might not matter very much. Why are you doing this? Kurai demanded, still irritated by the measures that his brother was taking. Because whether you like it or not, no matter how much I really don't like it, I'm your best shot at restoring the security systems, Akarui said flatly. If we run into trouble, I'll be able to plan for contingencies that your enemies won't even be able to come up with. I can basically ensure that not only will we win, we'll all go home in one piece. That's worth a few days to me. Kurai was quiet for a few moments before he reluctantly said, You can help us, but I'm the one with the combat training. If it comes down to a fight, you do what I tell you when I tell you to do it. Understand? You're going to follow my orders if you're going to come with. I will, his brother promised him, which was surprising. Seeing the look of shock on his brother's face, Akarui muttered, Increased IQ or not, I know you're the one with experience in not getting killed by bad guys. I'm staying behind you. Good, Kurai sighed. Now let's get back to the others. They returned to the group in time for Melissa to announce that she would also be going with them to stop the villains, since she knew the tower well enough to navigate them to the security control room. Midoriya initially protested this, but the blonde girl was insistent, and he eventually gave way to her demand to be brought along, especially since they would be running blind without her. Kurai then informed that Akarui would be accompanying them, and that his quirk would soon be functional enough to assist their endeavor. Iida, of course, protested this, but Akarui and Kurai swiftly demolished his arguments with the same points that the younger Hikari had addressed when debating the subject with his brother. The class rep refused to give ground initially, but when the others pointed out that they were wasting time with the arguing, and the fact that Kurai was technically the legal guardian in the situation, making it his call, the older boy caved with great reluctance. With that, the teenagers began to make their way up the many stairs that stood between them and the control room. They were starting out on the bottom floor, and they had to make it all the way up to floor 200, according to Melissa. Mina and Melissa had to ditch their shoes partway up since heels weren't exactly well suited for climbing thousands of steps, and Kurai's girlfriend was thoroughly irritated by that fact. Whoever these villains are, they're going to owe me a new pair, she grumbled as they continued the trek. I'll make you some new ones after this is all over, Yaoyorozu told her over her shoulder. No way, Mina replied with a snarky grin. These bad guys should take responsibility for the bad things they do. Just let her have it, Kurai said to head off any protests on Yaoyorozu's part. He grinned at his girlfriend and added, I'm sure we can add theft to the many charges that these villains are going to be racking up with this little operation. You making fun of me? No! The group was out of breath and their legs were aching when they came upon their first obstacle. Aw, come on! Mina groaned as they staggered up the stairs that put them on the 80th floor. Just above them was a thick metal gate that prevented them from going any higher on the staircase. Is this as far as we go? Uraraka panted. Hang on, Kurai muttered as he walked over and rapped on the gate with his knuckles, producing a low thudding sound. Shrugging slightly, he stepped back and muttered, Shouldn't be too hard to break through. His or Mina's quirk could get them through with little enough trouble, he reasoned. I wouldn't do that, Akarui said quickly as he stepped up to stand next to his brother, his eyes rapidly scanning the structure. This place is on lockdown. Any tampering with the security measures, and at the very least, it'll alert whoever's in control that we're here. Why don't we use the door? Jiro asked tiredly as she jerked a thumb at an exit that would take them out into the hallway for the floor. No, don't, Melissa told them, sounding even more winded than they were. It only made sense, seeing as she wasn't in a school course that had a high physical demand, unlike the UA students. That would trigger a silent alarm that gives away our position. The others took a moment to catch their breath while Akarui looked around them, trying to see if there was a way out of around tripping one of the alarms. However, he soon shook his head and said in a resigned tone, Short of blasting a hole in the wall and somehow scaling the exterior, I don't see how we can avoid giving away our position if we want to move on from the staircase. Can't you hack the gate or something? Kaminari asked. I thought you were super smart. Before Kurai could rescue the electric boy from his careless woods, Akarui turned a baleful eye on him and said, "First of all, how am I supposed to hack into a gate that doesn't have a local interface? Second of all, if you know so much, why don't you conjure the magic way for us to get to the top without getting caught, Mr. Low-Walt Bulb?" Kaminari stared at the boy blankly for a second before Jiro nudged him and said, "He's saying there's nothing for him to hack into at this door and that you're really stupid." "Hey!" the blonde boy exclaimed, his feelings injured. "Why are you so mean? Akarui, put your brains to better use for something other than making Kaminari cry and figure out the best way for us to proceed from here on." Kurai said to head off his brother. "We're not on a field trip." "Door's our best bet," Akarui replied immediately. "The enemy will know that we're here, but they'll learn nothing of your offensive capabilities. After all, there's not many people with a cork that'll let them blow through a gate like that. The longer we keep them guessing, the better it'll be for us." "Then let's not waste any time," Todoroki said as he moved to open the door, quickly leading the others out into a rounded hallway. Once they were out and jogging at a steady pace, Midoriya asked, "Melissa, where do we go from here?" "There should be another emergency staircase on the other side of the tower," she panted. "And what do we do if that's blocked too?" Mina pointed out. "Then I'll figure something else out," Akarui answered. "I'm already running through a dozen possible paths for us to take based on what I know about this tower." "What do you know about taking into account the fact that the same people designed Tartaros' safeguards, along with a number of architects and scientists that I read up on for fun, are the ones that designed this place? I've been able to factor in probabilities that would have optimized a balance between security and scientific functionality. Plus, what I've seen in the structure itself allows me to make an educated guess on how this entire building operates," the boy said to cut off Iida. Glancing at Melissa, he added, "Correct me if I'm wrong, but this floor focuses on how fauna react to various quirk stimulations, yes?" "Yes," she answered, her eyes wide. "You really figured all that out just by looking at the building?" "I believe I mentioned reading up on the tower's creators," he answered as he turned back to look at where he was going. "He wants to become a biomechanic when he's older," Kurai told the stunned girl. "He studies a lot of science stuff, and he researches the innovators in his spare time. He's actually a big fan of your father's." Silently, he added, "That device isn't getting you back up to speed, little brother. It's enhancing your mind beyond what you can even normally do." Smart as his brother's quirk made him, he was basically pulling full schematics out of traced memories and conjectures on his part, and that wasn't within his usual range of abilities. "You better know what you're doing, Akarui." "Yeah, like I didn't make that obvious when I first met her to..." Bang, bang, bang! The repeated sounds alerted the group to the alarming fact that the security gates both in front and behind them were shutting rapidly. The one closest to them was about to slam closed, to cut off the only side door that they had seen in some time. "Todoroki!" Akarui shouted, pointing urgently at the massive door. "I'm on it," the older boy replied, stopping in his tracks and lowering the temperature of the air around him by several degrees as he sent forth a wave of ice that froze the contraption and created a large wedge that prevented it from closing all the way. "Ashido, go ahead and melt the door on the other side," the younger Hikari said. "Kurai, get her over the ice." "Hang on," the elder brother said as Mina moved to hold onto his back. Gripping her legs firmly, he enhanced his body with energon and leaped high over the ice, sailing through the gap that Todoroki had managed to secure for them, and landing smoothly on the other side. As he set her down, he asked, "You okay?" "Yeah." She grinned lightly as she moved toward the door and hurled a glob of acid on the surface large enough to melt a man-sized hole through the barrier. As far as dates go, this isn't the worst one." "Really?" he asked, jerking his head back with a puzzled look. "What's been worse than this?" "Dude, you thought it was cute to take me to an ice cream parlor where 95% of the customers were grade schoolers and their parents." She laughed. "You're sweetie. But as far as good dates go, you're not exactly batting 1,000. "What?" he sputtered as Iida and Midoriya clambered over the barrier, Akarui riding on the second boy's back. "I have a lot of good memories there, and you said that you liked it." "I said I liked the company," she replied, giving him a pause. "And honestly, I've had better ice cream at the supermarket. Sorry, sweetie." "Dude, you took her to Jen and Barry's." Akarui scoffed as he walked up to them. "You were so lame. I honestly can't believe that we share genetic material. Are you guys really doing this right now?" Kaminari asked as he jogged by. "Apparently," Kurai said through gritted teeth. Shouting after his brother, he added, "I hope everyone here knows that this is coming from a guy that memorized every subspecies of fish that they covered in Blue Planet 5. "I don't have a girlfriend to impress," he heard Akarui called back as more of the other students filed past him. "By the way, we need to hide." The sudden change in subject caught them all off guard, but it was Yayorozu who asked, "Is the enemy coming?" As she spoke her inquiry, Kurai and Mina came in behind everyone else. "Not unless you could think of another reason why the elevator just started coming up from the ground floor," Akarui replied as he pointed at the lift tube, which rested in the middle of the giant atrium that the classmates had all found themselves in. Lowering his arm, he started to turn towards some bushes and added, "Come on, I'd like to hijack that elevator, but there's no guarantee the villains wouldn't destroy the system to trap us, or worse, send us plummeting to our deaths. Our best option is to wait for whoever they sent to pass us by, and then continue on to the other staircase." "Of course we can't go the easy way," Mina groaned as they all crouched behind some of the deep green bushes. Glancing at her from the corner of his eye, Akarui then said, "Your dress, Ashido. Sorry to say this, but you're going to have to ruin it." "Excuse me?" "Jogging up the stairs is one thing, but if worse comes to worse and you guys have to fight, a dress that long is only going to trip up a mid-to-close-range fighter like you," he said as he kept an eye on the elevator's approach. "You need to make that thing shorter." "No way," the girl hissed angrily, but she was forestalled by Akarui holding up a finger for silence. "Cut it in the next 10 seconds and you might not live to regret it later on," he said in a low voice. "I calculate a 14% chance that we end up in an altercation on this floor, and that number keeps going up higher in the tower that we get. I need you to be able to fight well, or else I put a higher number on the chances that my brother hurts himself trying to rescue you later on." "Yeah," she scowled, looking like she wanted to strangle the kid. However, all she did was secrete acid out of her fingers that cut the lower hem of her dress clean off, right above her knees. "You owe me a new dress for this, bucko." "Noted," Akarui said without looking at her. "Now shut up, they'll be here in 3 seconds. Mina responded by sticking her tongue out at the boy, but she kept quiet as she scooted closer to Kurai in their hiding place, which led to him gripping her hand reassuringly. Not a second later, they heard a couple of male voices accompanying the opening of the lift doors. Unfortunately, the voices were getting closer, which had Akarui's mouth hardening into a thin line as his thoughts raced, trying to find a way for them to escape detection. "Hey, we see you, stupid kids!" Those words gave pretty much everyone in the group a heart attack, but Kurai and Todoroki prepared to leap out of the bushes so that they could draw the villain's fire, until another voice stopped them in their tracks. "The hell'd you say to me?" Bakugo scowled, surprising his classmates from where they crouched, hidden. "What are you doing here?" another villain asked, confirming that there were at least 2 of the thugs present. "Whoa, man, calm down," they heard Kirishima say as Midoriya and Akarui peered out over the edge of the bushes to get a better look at what was going on. The redhead stepped ahead of his volatile classmate and gave the villains a friendly smile as he said, "We kind of got lost looking for this party a while ago. You guys mind pointing us in the right direction?" "Wow," Kodai thought as he saw Akarui smirking. He was right about them being bad with directions, but I had no idea that anyone could get that lost. "How did they get this far up looking for a party?" Jiro muttered. No one had time to answer that question, though, because the second villain suddenly shouted, "Don't lie to me or you'll regret it!" There was a sound of rushing energy, and the heroes in training knew that hiding was out. Todoroki moved first, sending a cascade of ice from his foot that swallowed up the villains where they stood, surprising Bakugo and Kirishima equally. "Wait, is this?" Both boys turned to see their classmates coming out from the bushes, all of them looking relieved that their friends were safe. "Todoroki, get us up there!" Akarui shouted, pointing at a walkway several floors above them. He knew it was highly unlikely that the villains were already down. "I'll stay behind with these 2 and hold the villains off," the heterochromic boy replied as he used his powers to conjure an ice pillar beneath their group's feet and sent them upward at a rapid pace. "We'll catch up when we can." "I'm staying too," Kurai announced as he leaped off the ice before it could get too high. As soon as his feet touched the ground, he looked back up at his brother and then hurled something from his waist at the boy, shouting, "You keep them safe, understand? Be a hero, just for today." "I will," the younger Hikari promised as he caught the item. The others were only slightly surprised to see him clipping Kurai's photon sword to his belt. Apparently, the older boy wanted to ensure that his brother would have something to defend himself with if it came down to it. "Are you sure?" Mina called down, looking worried. "I'll be fine," Kurai assured her, even as he began to pass out of casual earshot. "Don't take any chances," Akarui called down. "After you beat these 2, be wary of reinforcements." "What's going on, Icy Hot?" Bakugo demanded as he and Kirishima approached their classmates. "You didn't hear the broadcast?" he asked them dubiously. When they both gave him blank looks, he sighed and muttered, "It doesn't matter right now. I'll give you the details later, but for right now, you need to know that the villains have taken over the island's security systems. The others have gone to stop them." "Wait, that's what this is about?" Bakugo asked, looking legitimately worried for once. There was no time to ask more questions, though. Based on the sounds coming from within Todoroki's first ice wave, they didn't have long before their enemies would soon be upon them. "Let's try to make this fast," Kurai muttered as his eyes shifted blue. "Why do you have to stay behind?" Mina asked of no one in particular. It was clear from her expression that she was worried about Kurai, but they didn't have much time to think on how he and the others would be able to handle the villains down below. "Don't worry about it," Akarui told them as he came level with the bridge above their heads. "We still have a wide range of quirks on our team here. There's only a few powers I can think of that we wouldn't be able to neutralize." The group leaped onto the bridge, but immediately encountered another problem. "The barriers are up," Iida scowled as they looked in both directions. "What now?" "This can't be as far as we go," Uraraka said worriedly as explosions began to echo from down below them. "It's not," Akarui told them. He pointed up toward a hatch in the ceiling on the next floor up, saying, "My bet is that thing is a maintenance passage. We can use it to get to the next floor." Good idea, Yayorozu murmured as she conjured an explosive device, which she then hurled at the hatch door. A second later, the small entrance was blasted open, though it was still too far for them to reach just yet. We can't use that unless someone lets down the ladder, Melissa argued. It's locked from the inside. To get in, someone would have to open the door from the other floor and lower the ladder down for the rest of us. No problem, Akarui stated, causing the others to do a double take. High security deadlock isn't a problem? Jiro asked him. Okay, kid, I'll bite. How are we going to pull this one off? Mina, use your acid to give yourself foot and hand holds all the way over to the hatch, then climb up inside it, he answered as he looked at his brother's girlfriend. Once you get up to the top, melt the door and get inside to let down the ladder so the rest of us can follow. That's not going to be easy, she said, her eyes flicking downward at the sound of another larger explosion. You didn't go to UA to take the easy route, did you? Akarui said as he snapped his fingers to get her attention. Hey, Kurai will be fine, but him staying behind to fight them off is worth nothing if you don't help us advance, Ashido. Her caramel eyes sparked as she answered, I said it would be difficult, not that I wouldn't do it. And I know that him staying behind is worth without you spelling it out for me, but I am allowed to worry. Not all of us can be as cold and calculating as you are, kid. With that, she made for the wall and began to use her quirk to carve a tenuous pathway for herself up toward their exit. So, I promised you guys fan service, and I delivered fan service.
Not that kind of fan service, though.
I mean the good fan service, not the stupid fan service.
I'm going to admit, before we even get into this chapter, when we were in the movie theater, the scene with Mineta
for a bit of context, I thought that I had booked us tickets for the Japanese for the English dub version. We ended up seeing the Japanese dub and with the English subtitles. So that was actually the first time I'd ever watched any full episode with the Japanese voice actors.
And so this was the only time Mineta actually made me laugh in any of the My Hero stuff, because just that scene, head him, it just cracks me up. So now instead we get Mina going, head him, just kidding. So I don't know. That scene made me laugh so hard. I just couldn't. I hate Mineta, but that was hilarious. I don't know. To me, it just struck me funny.
I'm just I was honestly just all right, let go and fall off the side of the building. No, it's not gonna happen. Okay.
Anyway, the chapter.
All right. So we open up with that. So it kind of opens up similar to the original, where Deku and Jiro, they go and talk to All Might, and he's like, "Get out of here." And then in the movie, it's yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna go rescue everybody. In this one, the conversation understandably got a little bit more heated because Kurai and Iida are still butting heads. Mm-hmm. This one I think, and this one I think was, I'd like to think that I wrote this one as their most intense.
Yeah.
His most intense argument yet.
Thankfully, it's brief.
It's brief, but I feel like it's finally where they kind of hash it out with each other, what their problem is with one another, as opposed because they're not just punching.
And it was an ouch too.
Yeah.
Kurai said what he did, and I was like, I mean, poor Iida.
He's not wrong. Is the problem?
I know, but it hurt just a little bit.
Yeah.
I wanted to cry for Iida. I was like, no. Oh gosh. No. Okay, anyway. So they're able to agree to work together.
Yep.
They're moving forward.
Yep.
So hopefully we can see some healing happening.
Yep. Let's see and then as if one argument wasn't enough, you got another one followed up with Man, Kurai's just getting into it with everybody today.
Because now we have a very interesting conversation.
Yep, because he doesn't want Akarui to go along, and of course, I'm assuming that you guys going into this, you would have been well, of course, this is his younger brother, so for obvious reasons, he doesn't want to see him in danger.
It seems like there's a little more.
There's a little more to it than that, and we'll be getting onto that more in the next couple chapters.
And does Iida know?
Yes,
okay.
He's one of.
So
yeah.
Iida understands the other thing that's concerning
That's one of
them.
yeah. Yeah, so you kind of notice that he protested a little harder than some of the others did, because he knows something that they don't.
Okay. That, the group that doesn't know.
Yep,
okay.
Exactly.
And so we have that conversation, make a game plan, we start running up the stairs just like in the movie.
Yep.
We get trapped.
Yeah, they get trapped. Bakugo and Kirishima make their entrance. It's funny. Fighting starts. I kind of thought about sending Kurai up with the rest of them just to keep things kind of not have to write the scene. where Bakugo and Kirishima and Todoroki are fighting those two villains. But I decided it might make it a little more interesting, make for more expanded material if I left Kurai behind with them.
So there you go. You get your Todoroki Kurai fight scene.
Yep. That's coming up next chapter.
And then, but like also right before that, you know, we kind of know that the solar intelligence, it's not just being brought up to a normal level.
Akarui is doing something to he's becoming smarter and smarter as time goes by. Normally he'll hit his peak like in the middle of the day when he has a bunch of sunlight being exposed to him, and then it starts going down. A bit of backstory. The way his quirk works is that it depends on how much sunlight he's being exposed to at any one time. It's not necessarily like how much he's absorbed. Like his cells don't absorb the sunlight and retain it to make him smarter throughout the day. If he's under because when it's in the middle of the day, like that's when the most sunlight's happening. That's when he's at his smartest. Because he's being exposed to it that much. It's not because because if his cells were holding on to it for later use, he would actually be smarter if you think about it, like as the sun's going down.
He's like a solar panel.
A little bit.
Because solar panels need a separate battery to store that energy, and if they don't have that separate battery, that energy
he doesn't have that.
Away.
He doesn't have that separate battery.
That energy it's either there or it's
that's
not.
That's what
yes.
I based
Okay. Sorry.
it on.
Oh, I'm smart.
Yeah, solar intelligence. That's what I based it on.
Okay, I get it. Okay. Anyway, but
yeah,
he's like, dude, this isn't normal.
Akarui has a battery. Akarui has a battery now, and he's putting it in overdrive.
And getting a little bit.
Kurai's like, okay, he's not normally this smart.
And he wasn't being honest with me. That's the other thing, because he said it wasn't gonna it was just gonna bring him up to his normal level, and it's not. So his brother.
No, he actually didn't say that it would bring. He didn't technically lie. He said, give me 30 minutes and I'll have my smarts back. He actually didn't say anything about how much smarter it would make him.
Okay. All right.
Kurai wasn't paying attention.
Gotcha. I mean, it's kind of a tense situation.
And Akarui probably banked on that.
Yes. So
he's
holding down the bad guys with
the other
Todoroki
three
and Bakugo and Kirishima.
Yep.
And
now Akarui's trying to get everybody else up to the top. So.
And he and Mina getting a little spat.
Mina's getting a little salty.
Well, I mean, everybody's in a really stressful situation, and Akarui's like, "Bro, get your head in the game."
Yep.
But of course, with the sass.
Yep.
But
yep.
I think
I quite enjoyed getting to insert so much sassery. Oh, it's not that funny.
And then he left us with a my brain is gone. With a, what's it called when you leave? Cliffhanger. Because Mina's literally hanging off the side of this building and it's stressing me out.
No, she's not hanging off on the outside.
The inside.
Okay,
it doesn't matter. It's still
right.
fall. I'm scared of heights. That freaks me out.
Well, at least this way it'll just be like a 10-story fall as opposed to like a 90-story fall.
Imagine the control though, because she has to poke a hole, but then not keep melting.
Yep.
So she has to stop enough to pull herself to the that stresses me out so much. I don't want to picture. I can't think about it. No, I can't.
But it's like she is rated. I think she's like the most naturally athletic person in the class. So if anybody's gonna be able to pull off that kind of rock climbing exercise, it's gonna be her.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh man, the level of control she's gonna have with that acid though, because it's got to get her in. But
it's a good thing Kurai's been making her.
Down.
It's a good thing Kurai's been making her practice so much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Because she's got to be able to pull herself. No, I can't think about it. I can't. I'm glad that superpowers aren't real. Because I don't have to. I stress out. I'm stressing out about fictional characters. Sorry. Okay.
Well,
it's been a week.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this chapter. And let's see. So in about a month, we'll actually be heading up on the 1-year anniversary of this story, and I'm gonna have a little special for you guys ready by then. So look forward to that. I look forward to hearing you guys' thoughts on this chapter, and I hope you guys are ready for some ouchies coming in the next couple. It's gonna be awesome.
Why are you the way that you are?
Because I'm plus ultra. I'm out.